Well, first of all, I want to thank everybody that came out tonight. We had a great crowd, great atmosphere. The kids really fed off of that and appreciated it. I appreciate it as well. I'm glad we were able to send everybody home happy. You know, I think from the first ball game's perspective, some good and some bad. You know, we've got a lot better to get in order to be the type of team that we would like to be. You know, there's a bunch of things that happened out there today that I'm happy about, and then there's a bunch of things that happen out there that I'm not very pleased about. And we're going to have to work on in order to get to where we want to be. So.
What are some of each?
I'm sorry?
What are some of each? What are some of the things you like and some of the things that...
Well, I didn't feel like we played as well with our twos as we should have. We weren't as efficient and as crisp on both sides of the ball with our twos. We had I don't know what the numbers were penalty-wise, but we had entirely too many. Unforced penalties, you're going to get an occasional holding call or an occasional pass interference call. But we handed them way too many things, both in the kicking game, on offense and defense. Obviously, we created turnovers defensively, or got turnovers defensively, and took care of the ball pretty well offensively, and had a big play in special teams. But we made a bunch of mistakes out there.
All that said, is that kind of what you would have hoped to get out of an opener, where you can get the starters on the bench and then get a look at all those dudes?
Well, you like that part of it. You know, I like the fact that the ones took care of business and kind of took control of the game early and kind of got things in hand, and we were able to play a bunch of people. You know, that's a good thing. But in order for us to have a chance for success, those guys that were on the field after the ones have got to play better. And right now there's a pretty, or at least tonight, there was a pretty significant drop-off.
The running backs across the board, I mean, you got a lot of carries for a lot of guys. Were you pretty pleased with what they all did?
Yeah, they all held on to the ball, which is the first kind of rule of carrying it. So I was pleased with that. And they ran hard. You know, I think they were pretty efficient in their carries, and overall I was pretty pleased with them.
Of course, offensive line has something to say about how well the runners did. You got to be pretty pleased with your O-line as well.
Yeah, at times I thought we did a pretty good job. You know, we'll have a challenge because, you know, leading up to the first game, you have a lot of time to prepare scheme-wise, and then as soon as you get to the second game, all of a sudden you've got just a week. So how we can handle that on the offensive line, you know, and basically across the board will be interesting next week. But yeah, I thought, you know, just from the sidelines there, I thought at times they were moving the line of scrimmage and playing pretty well.
That was an FCS team. How much can you really take from beating them 63-7?
Well, the score to me is secondary. It's about how you play. You know, obviously you're happy to win the game. You want to win the football game. But you know, I want to see, and I have to look at the film. But I was interested in measuring how well we played across the board, and I felt like score aside, we left some of that out there. We should have played better in spots. Whether we scored more or they scored less was, you know, not really the point. You know, just kind of overall grading how we played.
It seemed like a question of focus. I'm not sure. You're not that big. Is it focus, maturity, or is it
Well,
drop off to the two?
I think it's a little bit of everything. Obviously, I'll have to look at it and try and ascertain, you know, my best guess at what it was. But some of it is focus. Some of it is, you know, they're young guys out there, or new guys at least out there playing, and some of it's our overall accountability level and ability to do the right thing on a consistent basis. We struggled with sometimes tonight.
The two penalties on the drop after we gave up the touchdown, couldn't have been too bad.
No, that's why we took the timeout. Make our point clear.
Punt returns, the first punt return for touchdown since 2004. What distinguished him, I guess, when you were trying to decide who to return punts? What kind of stood out?
Oh, I think the biggest thing for me was trust. You know, you put a guy back there, there are a lot of judgment decisions to be made. It wasn't necessarily that, you know, his elusiveness obviously plays into it, but it's the balance of who's the most skilled returner combined with who do you trust to put out there when the ball's way up in the air and there are a bunch of people running at you, and Proctor was the guy.
You obviously had a lot to replace defensively. How would you sort of assess how the ones did and how that's done?
Well, I guess if you look at the numbers, you would say they did pretty well. You know, we created turnovers, which was a good thing, obviously. But you know, I don't know. Like, I'm going to refrain from just saying they played great or not up to par or what. You know, I really want to look at it. I know they were anxious to play, and they were playing hard. I just don't know how smart we played, and I don't know that it's bad. You know, I'm not saying that. I'd refrain from just giving them an overall grade without seeing them.
Initial thoughts on Alderson?
Could have been better. But we didn't have issues out there. You know, we didn't have operational issues, or, you know, he seemed in control. It didn't seem too big for him. I liked all that. You know, some of our execution could have been a little better.
You're a true freshman at center. How did Drew do tonight?
Pretty well. He did well. You know, we were pretty confident in him. Just, you know, he'd been here for the spring, and you know, I wouldn't say I didn't worry at all about it, but it really wasn't an issue. You know, he's been there and playing well for us since he stepped on campus, so he held his own.
Ricky Hunter was called for targeting. There was helmet to helmet. It didn't look like there was intent.
That was
he the
absolutely
victim of the rule?
no. It's the right call. I mean, that's the definition of what we're trying to avoid. You know, I don't know. I have to look at it in depth to know if it was incidental or not. But I mean, that's the rules that we're all playing under. It happens, and that's what you get.
Do you expect to have Gabe and Nurse back next week?
I expect to have everyone back. We'll be in good shape.